after. Sounds good?
Yes. Thank you so much for speaking to me. This was so beautiful. And I love the gentleness that it seemed to have bring out. What I want to talk about was the fact Village Keeper itself doesn't just follow one person, one woman. This is a generational movie. And so can you talk about the importance of its village keeping within each generation and to make sure that the next one and the past one is okay?
Thank you for taking the time and thank you for your question. I mean, I think more than anything, I wanted to examine the silences that we have within our families. Some more often than not, it's easier to communicate with our friends and our coworkers about what's going on with us as opposed to what our families. So we're in these intimate spaces and we're not speaking to one another. And I really wanted to speak to the elephants in the room. I wanted to write a fiction where family gets into the room with and finds their and challenges the secrets and talks about things they've never spoken. I wanted to see what would happen and to kind of build a fiction around the endless possibility that happens when we're just honest, with one another. And thank you for noticing. That was a really, really big intentional piece in the film.
Do you view this as a generational trauma piece, or is it more of we need to just talk and have a conversation to understand each other?
I think I just had a lot of questions going in, and I wanted to build a fiction around the unraveling of things and the unraveling around things left unsaid. And I wanted to see what would happen if the truth was spoken, and to reinforce that once it is spoken, there's love on the other side. People won't be angry or feel shame or embarrassed by your decision, but will likely love you anyway. And so it was a beautiful opportunity for me to create a fiction out of a possibility that I wish were true for more people.
Also, what's interesting is I love the relationship between Jean and Maxine. And the fact that it's all about making a home your home now. You can look towards the future, but work on what you have right now. Can you talk about their relationship and how do you feel that they kind of ground each other in both looking forward towards the present and the future?
For sure. I mean, that was a massive theme. I think most of us are constantly trying to better our lives for those around us and ourselves. That means getting a bigger home. That means getting out of an apartment. That means getting a condo. That means owning. That means all of these things. And it just puts us on this wheel of pressure that we are always foregoing happiness and foregoing, the thing, we'll be happy when we get this or when and like that might never come. And then what? And so just this older grandma being the older character to remind us that that's not a way to live. And of course she knows that because she's done it. And so she's trying to impart the importance of now, the importance of taking the long way home, the importance of like doing silly things. I think being silly as grown-ups is something that's underrated, like just little things for ourselves that grounds us in who we are beyond being a caregiver, beyond being a friend, sister, just things that ground us in our own personalities. So it was wonderful to be able to examine these things on screen.
Do you view it as self-acceptance that Jean had to go through? Or was it always a journey of finding love?
I think it's both. I think it's both of those things. I think, we as caregivers, there's so many things that we're supposed to do when we're supposed to be, like being a mother, you're a mother right away. It's not something you learn over time or a position that you have to earn or apply for. It's right away. And that means grappling this new identity live without much time for reflection. And so there isn't a lot of time for you to get it together and get it right. You have to do it right now. And I think making a film about that, it helped to put some space in between that identity for me personally. and just to be more reflective with motherhood, with being an artist and holding all those two things at the same time. It just helped create a little bit of space. Like art is a wonderful outlet for me, and so I've been really, really fortunate that I've been able to examine these things in a way, and put them on screen. But it's all selfish, just because I'm thinking about them, right? I'm examining these things in myself.
In regards to the children, I was wondering, did you want them when writing this to be a reflection of their mother? Or was it more about the reflection of their neighborhood and the environment of which they came from?
Again, I think a little bit of everything, but in the sense of like it's true generations in the household, and I think I wanted the children to obviously emulate um, Jean and her parentage and her care of them, but to also be in a place where she's not, to be further ahead, right? They're a bit more evolved um, when it comes to feelings and acceptance, and I think it takes this to like something to happen for them to understand that, and for her
The
to
music,
understand that.
so the music selection was absolutely beautiful. It was really peaceful and meditative. Can you talk about the selection behind that?
Sure, sure. It was really important to us that the film felt Caribbean, that the film felt, and that means a lot of things. It doesn't just mean one thing. It means, there's like accents of soca and reggae, but there's also like folk music and instrumental music that doesn't necessarily feel classical. So we had like a harpeggi, which is a mixture between a guitar and a piano. We had like our pianist is self-taught. Our composer is a self-taught pianist, and I wanted his unconventional take at music and feelings to kind of help ground our film. And I wanted music that felt familiar, music that I felt like if I was walking down the street in this community, I would hear like Machel Montano playing somewhere. I would hear like, Mustafa the poet and his beautiful voice playing somewhere. I wanted it to feel um, familiar and lived in. So thanks for
So
noticing.
yes, this story could have really taken place anywhere, but I want to talk about the importance of setting it within the projects of Toronto.
Sure. I mean, Canada is a big hub in terms of filmmaking. Like a lot of US productions and international productions come here to film, but Canada rarely plays itself. We're always hiding our flags and putting different flags up to try to be other cities. And I wanted to play, everyone also says that it's a very multicultural space. And I challenge that with the fact that it's actually people live in pockets. People live in pockets of class, of poverty, of race, and we go out into the world and then we go back into the pockets. And I wanted to make a film um, about a community that actually is quite multicultural, that has like Filipino people and Black folks from Africa, from the Caribbean, um, and how they create community being transplanted. And so I wanted to just challenge. Again, I have a lot of questions, and so I usually put them into my work, and I wanted to create a community that similar to from what I've seen and grew up with.
Well, thank you so much for speaking to me. You did a superb job. This was a wonderful film.
Thank you. I appreciate you spreading the word.
Yes, thank you.